Have you ever watched an NFL game and thought to yourself, this game seems rigged? Well, this past weekend's AFC Championship game was probably made for you. If you were watching, the Chiefs beat the Bengals on a late field goal, and you may have noticed that the officiating was particularly bad in this game, which all seemed to favor the Chiefs. So much so that the term rigged has been thrown around a lot since then by fans. And of course, sports media is calling those fans crazy for saying that. Now, we're going to take a look at the replays of some of the key moments in that game that point to this game being rigged. But before we get there, I'd like to encourage you to take a second to hit the subscribe button to keep up with all the new theories I have coming up. Now, the term NFL rigged was trending across social media platforms this past weekend after the officials made a series of terrible calls. But I think this goes way beyond just skewed officiating. I think this goes all the way back to Damar Hamlin. Now, I made a video a few weeks back which looked at how the NFL manipulated the Damar Hamlin situation in order to propel the Chiefs into a more favorable route to the Super Bowl. I would encourage you to watch that video in order to get a better understanding of the context about what I'm about to say, but here's a really quick recap. By canceling the Damar Hamlin game, the NFL gave the Chiefs a free 1 seed that they hadn't earned at that point, and gave them a guarantee that they weren't going to play the championship game in Buffalo. Now that everything's transpired, we can take a look back and see the two different paths that the participants of the AFC Championship game would have had to take in order to get to the Super Bowl. Tell me which option sounds more favorable to you. You have option A, where you get to play the Jaguars at home and the Bengals at home in order to get to the Super Bowl, or you have option B, where you have to play the Ravens at home, then the Bills on the road, and the Chiefs on the road. Which of those two is the better option? The point is, we can look all the way back to the Damar Hamlin situation to see that the NFL wants the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. So, when things were getting tight late in the fourth quarter of the AFC Championship game, the refs stepped in to aid the Chiefs in their championship run. I've gone back and I looked at all the controversial calls throughout that game, and there were two key plays that I thought stood out among the rest. The first and most controversial call in this game was the mysterious extra third down that the refs awarded the Chiefs after they failed to convert. The refs stepped in and basically handed them a second chance.
Jim, they had it marked
play clock
incorrectly.
to 10 seconds, please. 10 seconds. The play clock and game clock will start on my signal.
When you don't have other guys, so you're going to see someone help on him right there as well.
On 3rd and 9. Bodies around him. It's caught by Kelsey, but
The ball was snapped. The play was shut down. The clock should not have started. Please reset the game. 10 minutes, 24 seconds.
Another opportunity. That seems like you're not looking forward to that.
let's see what happens with it. Mahomes is down at the 24.
Holding. Defense number 20. 5-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
Okay, there's a lot going on in that sequence, but the first thing I want to point out is that the refs were actually right to replay that down. When the ref announced the play clock and game clock were going to start on his whistle, despite the previous play being an incomplete pass, that was a mistake, and the play should have been blown dead. However, that was about the only thing they got right in that whole sequence, which seemed to be very convenient for the Chiefs. Let's go step by step and look at all the officiating errors that took place. First, they incorrectly spotted the ball after second down. Second, they announced the game clock will run on the whistle despite the previous play being an incomplete pass. Third, only one of the 8 refs recognized the error and tried to stop the play. And fourth, the ref who did notice failed to blow his whistle, or at least it was inaudible. But regardless, he didn't make a sufficient effort to stop the play. In comparison, look what happened before the first third down attempt. The ref is continuously blowing his whistle and charging towards the ball, waving his hands to make sure the play doesn't happen. Now look at the next play. He takes about 4 steps, doesn't blow his whistle, and just stops moving to let the play finish. If nothing else, you have to stop that play for the sake of player safety. Could you imagine a player getting injured in the AFC Championship game on a play that didn't count because the ref didn't try hard enough to stop it from happening? Now, I know this play had a negligible effect on the outcome of the game, but it still looks pretty sketchy, to the point where it almost looks coordinated, as if the refs and the leagues got together and choreographed a plan to give the Chiefs an extra third down if they needed it. They even put on a little display at the end to show that they were trying to stop the play, just so they could save their butts if they needed to. So the problem isn't so much that it helped the Chiefs win, because I'm not sure that it did. The problem is that it was an attempt to help them win. Let's take a look at the second bad call. This one comes from the very end of the game, which the Bengals punt the ball to the Chiefs with less than a minute remaining in a tied game.
And a lot of faith in the rookie as Crispin's going to send it his way. Backpedals at the 20. He's going to take off. Takes off, and this is why he's out there. That's Sky Moore near the 50.
I'm going to play that back, and I want to direct your attention to two different and obvious block in the back penalties that weren't called.
A play or two to have a chance.
Off. Takes off, and this is why he's out there.
Again, there are 8 officials on the field. Are you telling me that all 8 of them missed 2 block in the back penalties, one of which took place right next to the ball carrier? Had they called one of those penalties, instead of the Chiefs starting at the 45-yard line and kicking the field goal a few plays later, they would have started close to their 10-yard line, almost ensuring the game would have gone to overtime. Really quick, there are 2 things I want to point out because I've seen a lot of people talking about them. First, I wouldn't put a lot of weight into holds that aren't called. A lot of people are looking at the play towards the end of the game, which Mahomes is pushed out of bounds, drawing a roughing call, and citing that there were multiple holds on that play. I actually think it's better if the refs don't call a hold in that situation unless it's egregious. Second, I believe that the Chiefs would have won this game despite the officiating. So I wouldn't go as far as to say that the refs won this game for them or anything of that nature. Overall, outside of the block and the back penalties that weren't called, you could argue that all the calls and non-calls had a very little, if any, effect on the outcome of the game. But that's not the point. The point is that they made the calls in the first place, late in the game, in critical times, all to the benefit of the Chiefs. They want the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. And the reason they want the Chiefs in the Super Bowl is because they want to make them into the bad guys. Do you remember how the Patriots dynasty was often compared to the Empire in Star Wars? Well, there's nothing that drives up ratings quite like having a common enemy to root against. So they want to turn the Chiefs into the new Empire. It could also be that they're motivated by their new multi-billion-dollar partnerships with sports betting agencies. It could be as simple as the majority of people bet on Team A, so let's make Team B win. But the point is that they wanted the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Heck, if you want to dive deeper into this, check out this play from Mahomes, in which he basically throws the ball backwards. This changed the game from potentially being a 2-score game into a tie game. Maybe Mahomes was in on it the whole time. Maybe it was because he knew that the refs would bail him out at the end of the game. Well, that's a theory for another time. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe as I'll have more theories on the way. Until next time.